What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gamers for Life podcast, where each and every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, discussing that gaming shit. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrell. With me is Arthur Thomas, the the ribeye eating champion. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just enjoy myself with a nice moonshine-filled weekend. Apparently, some local moonshine with Tang is awesome. Shout out to our buddy Victor Asian that introduced me to it. I can't explain it, man.
Cool.
Moonshine Tang. It's just like, I was just joking. It's like Moonshine Tang. It's like God and NASA intended. Hell yeah. But no, yeah, was good. Decided to treat myself by cooking myself up a nice ribeye yesterday. I was telling you, man, I forgot how damn good a home cooked ribeye steak is. It's just like, you cut into it, you're like, oh man, just plus I think I've been telling you I've been eating a lot of fish and unintentionally just eating a lot of fish via tuna and pork via brats and tofu to be healthy where I can, minus said brats. So it also just like to refresh my palate to remind me, oh, what a quality cut of meat is. Oh, that ribeye was good, dude. I know people cut the fat off ribeye either one after it's done cooking, and that's just like, it's like sugar-free cereals, man. It's like, just no. It's like, if you're eating a ribeye, right, which is like how many ounces of meat, and it was cooked in the fat already, might as well just stick the landing. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I want 80% of the flavor, not 0, not 100, most. It's like, God, just go for it. Cut in enough fat, let it explode the juices and flavor in your mouth. I don't know.
Now, the $1 million question: how did you cook the steak? Did you do medium rare?
Oh, I'm not a heathen. Yeah, medium rare.
Okay. Thank God.
Yeah, no.
I was like, tell a fucking hamburger if you're trying to do well done, okay?
And no offense to British people, which is rare for me because usually I just go in on them as it's deserved most of the time. Growing up in the Inland Empire, I don't know where you live, but where I lived in San Bernardino County growing up, there was a decent enough like European population, and like there was like a couple German stores, like legit pubs, like an actual pub. Like I didn't know that for 99% of the country, a pub is like a pub themed bar, because where mom and I'm going to pubs a lot to do homework as a kid, like most children of alcoholics. You know, what's up? I see you. My dad was like one of the only like non-European born dudes there. We just go to this pub and And where I'm going with that is we go to their barbecues or their family events. Immediately, I must have been like 10 years old, Joe. It was like a Bobby Hill. It was like a Bobby Hill, Hank Hill moment. Like even as a child, I immediately noticed, one, we went to the barbecue. One, they didn't ask us how we wanted our steak. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. Just I feel like we're all on the same page, right? Two, after like the second time we went to their barbecue, I'm like, oh, this is a thing. And I remember complaining to my dad. Like I must have been like 10 years old. Just like, do they always do it well done? Yes, son. We just ask for the A1 steak sauce. And I just remember ever since then, I'm like, yo, British people, when it comes to food, y'all are just making it really hard not to joke on you, not to clown on you. It's like, you don't use the spices you conquered the world for. You cook you cook your meat well done. What are we doing, man? God.
Yeah.
But hell, not me here. Not me, man. Nah, I cooked that medium rare. I used that good old Montreal steak, just seasoning, just coated it. 6 minutes each side, let it rest for like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's good. It was golden.
Very cool, man. Very cool, very cool. Well, if you're watching this, hello. This isn't a cooking channel, as you might have noticed, but we do like to talk about our intros here before we deep dive into the gaming nonsense. But while you're here, definitely be sure to like and subscribe here on the channel. Definitely would appreciate that. We deserve more subscribers, and you deserve good gaming content and funnies. So be sure to, it's a win-win situation. Subscribe to @G4L Podcast. It's also where Arthur does the streams, gaming streams for the games that, kind of the topic of that we're talking about, or just the ones that we're into in general. Marvel's Rivals has kind of been the ongoing fun shenanigans there for the time being. But yeah, everything else, I believe you can still go to Linktree. What is it? Linktree.com/Gamers for Life, the number 4 life, the one stop link to all things Gamers for Life, and again at G4L Podcast on YouTube. Here at the Gamers for Life Podcast, we read the news while you can watch or listen to what you choose by clicking on the links of the time code within the description of the episode, so you can go to what segment that you prefer to just go to and watch or listen, or you can just hang out with us here at the Gamers for Life Podcast. And at the Gamers for Life Podcast, one of the first things, I guess, just to kind of talk about it, even though neither of us fully watched it, but the PlayStation State of Play. And this guy was out on the 12th, debuted on the 12th. And it's funny, even though I kind of forgot about it until recently, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of other news sources that really got anything from it either that they already knew about. The first thing they talked about was Monster Hunter Wilds, which is kind of a nightmare on PC. Right now, the optimization of the game and the recommended settings, it just doesn't make any sense. So, and even Digital Foundry talked about this quite a bit, as far as just they need to fix the game as far as for how the specs and everything are. I'm sure it'll look fine on PlayStation 5 and, for a Series X if it's out on that, which I think it is. But yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. The game, it looks fun. It's kind of fun. It's just that the graphics are just kind of a mess on PC. But a couple of other things that they talked about for it. There's officially a new release date for the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta or Delta Snake Eater in August 28th of this year. It's funny. I remember he sent me a message. I want to say it was on Instagram or something, but you were just like, I don't think, because it was like a Rolling Stone article, and you're like, I don't think this is a leak.
So Rolling Stone doesn't know how words work. The Rolling Stone article the title was, mind you, this was prior to the State of Play. It was prior to the State of Play. The Rolling Stone article, which I've now added Rolling Stone to ignore this source. So Rolling Stone's now in the same category as IGN. Welcome. It's a very prestigious club. Rolling Stone, you've earned your place in it. It was the name of that article was Snake Eater Delta finally confirms its release date. So you click on it, mind you, this was prior to State of Play. So you click on it, and then it's like subtitle, secondary introductory title is trusted leaks discuss release date. I'm like, okay. So leaks and confirmed, those don't mean the same thing. So right off the bat, fuck your clickbait article. Fuck your we have a confirmed set date. So hear me out, guys. So I heard these leaks. Bro, if that's how one of your friends talked, you would just not trust that friend as much. You're like, okay, bro, whether it comes to stocks or food reviews, I don't know stocks, but I know food reviews. So if you're like, you're talking to me, Jelly, like, dude, this new place opened up, I got confirmed reports, this shit's good. How? Okay. So there was this influencer white girl who bought a huge burrito, and she took a small teeny wincy bite of it. And it was a sponsored TikTok video, but she said that's really good. I'm like, fuck, what the fuck, you dude? What are we talking about? So yes,
looks like we got our third co-host here. Sorry, knocking on our door here at the Zoom. I guess I should.
He lives.
He lives.
The suspense of the loading screen is popping.
I know, right? Yeah. As for those of you listening, what happened to my audio? Oh man, but yeah, so that happened, which I thought was funny. But yeah, I'm like, that is not a leak. Before we while we pump the brakes on the State of Play, as he lives and breathes, Church, what's going on, bud?
Welcome back.
You're muted if you're talking.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy late Valentine's Day. Happy late Super Bowl. Fly
Yeah.
Eagles fly.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we can switch into fourth gear here. I know we were talking a little bit on the messenger. I know you're deep into Avowed right now, which wasn't going to be a topic here on the show. And well, you are the one out of all of us who has played it. It is averaging an 82, I believe, on Open Critic. But give me your thoughts, Turks. How do you like Avowed?
Yeah, I think with the critics like 80, I think I have it at like at an 8 out of 10, just to overall so far. I wouldn't say it's like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece or quote unquote a great game. It's just good. But it's got me addicted. This is the most I've played my Xbox in a very, very long time. Right. So I think Microsoft with the release of Indiana Jones and Avowed has got me to play the system again in this generation. And I think this is another good showing from them. And I've read some of the reviews, and my opinion is kind of differs from the reviews, and I just don't know if reviewers had enough time to play the game. But some of the complaints I've heard, it's like I just haven't experienced. So let's just talk about performance overall. I think the game runs very well on my Xbox Series X. You have a lot of you have like quality, balanced and performance. Now I have a 120 hertz screen, so it's balanced, which is a little bit like 40 frames per second, which is very smooth and constant. It feels like 60, and I have the image of the quality, and I haven't had any problems whatsoever in performance where it's dipping frames too much. Maybe if there's like a lot of magic going on the screen at one point with like 12 enemies. Other than that, it's pretty solid, and the game looks pretty. Um, there is some minor like bugs, like some of the NPCs maybe be walking around at a lower frame rate. Like everybody else is going like 60 and they'll have 15. It looks a little bit weird, but then it fixes itself. Other than that, it's pretty solid, and I think the best Obsidian has done in a long time in terms of performance going forward. And just the exploration, I think, is the key to the game because I went in here not really caring about the story. It's kind of like a snooze fest. But I got interested the more I play. So I was like, my character, he's just a mercenary. I'm just trying to level up my character, get the money to do so. So my side quest that I've been doing is I'll do anything for money. And that's kind of been approaching. So just exploring the land, it's been fun. There's always something new in the distance to grab your attention and go into combat. So that's fun. And the parkour of the game just feels like dying light. You just have really that freedom to explore any verticality that you want, and it awards you with like treasure chests or secrets as you play in the game. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's rewarding. Um, and the area is dense. You know, it's not an open world. You just kind of have like an open zone section of the map, which is fine because it's each. I'm in the second zone, and the first zone is pretty big, right? That you can explore. And I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm boxed in at times. I feel like it's a bite-sized experience of density that you can explore, and you really uncover the secrets of the area, where it's not too overwhelming. Well, I just have a bunch of things on the map. Um, in terms of the story, I think it's just okay. Um, it's I don't know. You're like basically you are envoy of the emperor coming to the land of the lawless, trying to figure out this plague that's going on, and you're quote unquote a godlike, which is just like you've been t touched by the gods. That doesn't mean you're a demigod, but your facial features are like has like fungi growing out of your body of one of the gods. It looks really weird, and you can see that in the character creation screen. You can turn all that stuff off, but it's just like your character kind of looks weird. The art design behind it is kind of stupid, but that's the story. So you go there into a hostile territory where the locals don't trust order and law because they've all escaped civilized quote unquote civilization to live on their own over here. So you're not welcome. There's like a rebel group that's, out to get you if you so choose. The people don't trust you. And that's just kind of the area that you're in. And the story didn't really get really good into the end of the first zone for me. Into the second one, well, the choices and consequences of what I was doing had like a ripple effect. Um, And I think that's good because I think that's what people want in the game. Like, do your choices matter? And I feel like so far they do. I mean, even at the very beginning of the game, where you can choose to let somebody leave somebody in a cage in a jail or set them free, that had an effect on my story on an unrelated quest. Like that person came back and like, oh, because I saved their life, they were like willing to help me out with this other endeavor. I made a choice to, let's say, arrest somebody, and as I was leaving the city, the gang decided like what you did was bad, and they killed my friend at the very beginning of the friend. I was leaving the city to the second zone, and he's just hanging up on the tree saying, "Godlike be warned, blood for blood." I was like, "Dang, I did not know that was going to have an effect on the homie." Even furthermore, that choice extended into the second zone. Well, they were like occupying a station nearby and stealing crops from the locals, which was causing them to like the town people to starve. So if I didn't turn in that like gang leader, they wouldn't have been in the second zone, which would cause the situation that I walked into. So it was kind of cool. It's building this ripple effect from the game. Now, I mean, I haven't played Skyrim, but I played Morrowind and Oblivion and these types of games before, so it feels like a natural continuation of the story where your choices have consequences. And I'm curious to see how far that goes into the game. Um, and that's some of the criticism because I was enjoying the game. I put like 10 hours into it. And I was like, hey, let me see some of these reviews because I didn't want to muddy my opinion. And some of the reviewers I've seen on the YouTube, I don't know, man. They just have I don't know if they played the game or they were rushing through it, but I my experience is different. Um uh it's kind of interesting. Now let's go into combat. Combat's fun. I think that's a highlight of this game. I think the game excels in combat and exploration. And which is funny because when we first saw the preview for Avowed, the people said the combat kind of looks janky. I That's not the case. I think this is the most fun in a first person combat I think I've had in a very long time. Um, the melee feels good. It seems like you have power and umph, but I'm just a mage, I'm completely magic at this point. And casting these magic spells and having them synergize with abilities is a lot of fun. So there's instances, well, let's see, if your enemies are in water, you do electricity, and the water reacts to like electricity. If you need to break down like metal balls, you can freeze the metal gates to break them with ice. I have this ability that coats my entire essence around with ice, and I could just walk on water completely. So it interacts with the environment around you, and that's kind of cool. And I take advantage of that in combat as well. And there's a lot of synergies with the magic builds. It's kind of interesting. Like you can unlock each abilities to do them without like a magic book, but if you cast them from the magic book, it automatically gives you the rank higher than what you level that at. So it incentivizes you to keep the books on hand because if you don't have enough ability points to max them out, you can get to the max level by casting from those books, which is bigger radius, cooldown reductions, or just um, more DPS. It's a lot of fun. So I recommend playing Mage. It's cool. You can have the wands. I don't even think the wands are really necessary because it's really just casting from the book. But you can, respec anytime you want in the game from different builds. You can switch it up to a ranger, to a warrior, to a mage. Anytime you can respect your abilities and the points you've earned, and it's fairly cheap. And that's kind of just my cursory review of the game so far. Yeah, any questions?
Sounds good, man. I mean, for me, it sounds like, based on what you said, the gameplay is really fun. The story, it seems like it's starting to pick up a little bit, but as far for the overall gaming experience, it seems like a pretty solid RPG comparatively. Like I have no idea how many hours that GameSpot put in because they're like the first people to say 6 out of 10, and like, I mean, Arthur and I, we all know like GameSpot, like yeah, grain of salt, very fucking small grain of salt. Like
Same
GameSpot.
company that was like Wukong, lack of diversity, 6 to 10.
Like what, So, but yeah, man, it sounds dope. I mean, Arthur, do you have any questions for Church?
I I heard that the map is kind of like Dark Souls, where if you see someone way in the fuck off distance of the map, that's like a place you can go to. It's not like just a faux foreground. Like the map's live and real. Is that kind of true?
Yeah, it's kind of true. So, I mean, the map has limitations. So you can hit the edge of the map by like a natural mountain, but let's say if you get to a vantage point and you see a place of interest, you can actually go there. There's an island that you can see. You can go see that island. If you see a castle in the distance, you can touch that castle. And once
Nice.
you get to the castle, behind it might be a mountain that you can't go to. There's like natural barriers. And that's been the experience. Like, dang, the draw distance in this game is really nice. Yeah, I can really make out points of interest, and I can just head over there without any, really, without any problems. I get into a new area and just like start exploring heavily and just fighting. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of fighting in this game. Um,
The musket
Nice.
builds look fun.
I haven't seen the musket builds, man. I picked up a few guns. I had a gun that shoots like electricity, and I was doing like a stun gauge build just to do like a
Mhm.
go hits. But now I'm just kind of more on just overwhelming magic power. Just you know, raining spells like storms, hail from the sky, firestorms, tornadoes, all that stuff. So,
How's
I'm
the mu Oh, I'm sorry, really quick. How's the music and the sound effects in the game?
music's pretty good.
Yeah.
It um. It's all right. I don't think it's bad. It's just not very much present a lot of times. When you get to like a high location, the game knows you're about to do something epic, and that's when you can hear the score comes in, and that's pretty cool. Other
Yeah.
than that, it's just kind of in the background. The sound effects are pretty decent. I love the magic casting, shooting with the wand, and even the clanking of like the swords against somebody's armor. That's pretty fun. And I like the voice acting.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
So I mean, even with my companions, right? Well, you have this like kind of like a Kotal or maybe old Bioware wheel. So you hit like left button, and it brings up a wheel, and you can choose one of your own abilities, grenades, or you can command your companions to attack. And once you get used to that system, it becomes very good to for combat because it's not just combat's not spamming. It's a lot of thought because you approach in an area, especially with a magic build, you kind of want to crowd control and like have your companions like focus target at the same time. So you'll get to a point where most enemies are higher level than you, unless you grind for some gil. So you have to methodically think about your attacks and sequence and queue them up. So it's not brainless. Um, and so that's been fun. That's been fun, but I also been playing on hard difficulty too as well.
Hell yeah.
So I'm not doing normal. So there's
That's what
one
my
more.
brother always did. Any game he played, hard difficulty or veteran, and then once he beats it, you never touches it again. That's the
You gotta
typical
do.
school.
So big asterisk, Church is playing a mode that game journalists are not. So he is
Facts.
experiencing a different game. Church, one question I had is that was because it was a big talking point, like even from you, from Velgard. How's the scripting? Like how's the dialogue?
So, I'm liking the scripting more than Veilguard completely. I know like Dragon Age got some crazy Goodwill scores of 9. I think Avowed has my interest more than Dragon Age has completely. I've dropped Dragon Age and I don't think I'll come back. I think I'll finish Avowed. I think Avowed is just a better game. The main story is lackluster, but if you do the side quests and you start picking up these notes and you start learning more about the world, like this town, like, oh, this person knows this person, or like, oh, she slept with her husband, so now they'll kill him in the forest, which affects the mayor's decision. I'm more interested in the stories I discover along the way, as opposed to the main story so far, which seems to be just okay. But the side quest makes the main story even better because it adds to it. But the
Yeah.
scripting's better than Dragon Age completely. I like the companions, both of them. The first companion you get, he's a character, he's a lot of fun. And then the second one you receive, he seems a little bit one-dimensional at first because he's just kind of like a mercenary. But as you talk, if you spend the time to talk to him and try to figure out who he is, he'd be like, "Listen, man, we're not friends. I'm not gonna tell you my life story. And it kind of protrudes like the more you go on adventures, he'll open up by his past. It kind of hints that something went on previously with him that he doesn't want to disclose. But the game doesn't award you with that information just outright. He just is like, yo, I'm in here for the money. I'm gonna make sure that you're safe. And if we become friends, great. But if not, like, don't ask me personal questions. Keep it professional. So
Right.
That sounds good, Gerald. Gerald. This reminds me of like how Obsidian handled Knights of the Republic 2. Yeah, I mean, because I know Knights of the Republic 2 was decades ago, but there's still like you're saying those elements of like the pause thing where it's like here's your abilities, here's your companion's abilities, and you need to be tactical. You can't just do damage and shut your brain off. Um, and then I'm glad the companions are in it well because that was another thing. Because that was another thing with other RPGs that were like, companions are just like it felt like a chore, but I'm glad the companions here aren't like all just surface deep one dimensional. That's
Yeah.
good.
yeah, at least so far. I mean, they'll travel with you completely. So when you're having a conversation with somebody, they'll just chime in, right? They'll comment on what's going on, talk to you about it afterwards, you know. Like I know one of my characters, he hates philosophers, so he would just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna step away from this conversation," and he
Fucking
would
nerds.
leave. And then as soon as that conversation ends, it's like, "Yo, did we win? Like, was it?" So,
Like, hey, you guys done talking about that nerd shit?
exactly. So much, much better than Dragon Age. I don't think it's pushing like it's not the best thing ever, but I think it's good. I think it's a solid at 8 or 10. Now there's
Yeah.
some like critiques from the game that I will give some credence to, but I didn't really notice at the time because I'm kind of running around.
Mm.
Um, the NPCs do not move in the game whatsoever. There's a few that have a walking path, but if you play the game, you notice most of them are stationary all the time. And there's like the city is not moving around when you go around the city. I'm like, oh,
Oh, that's old school. That's like some old school RPGs. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing, but
I don't know if it's a good thing, but I'm not trying to sell it as a 9 out of 10 or 8, 10 out of 10. I think it's a solid 8.
yeah.
I didn't notice until somebody pointed out to me. And honestly, I don't really care because I'm kind of going to the city doing quests, moving around, and just listening to stories. People are upset that there is no thief system in the game in terms of you can't technically steal. And like you can pick up any item that you see. Um, but if you steal it in somebody's shop, like they're not gonna notice that you steal it. So people are like, oh, this is terrible. How did they not see me? But then it's also like, I don't know. I think that's kind of intentional because we live there is no police in the game, right? There's no law. Its whole point, they're nomads. There's no law of the land. If
Lore
someone,
wise, there's no big governing body. Like,
exactly,
there's no big government body to be like, hey, you stop sitting there.
yeah, you
Fuck
act,
it.
yeah, you're on the side of that embodying governments that's trying to get a foothold in Paradise at the very beginning. But as you explore further into the land, like the system of laws, it's more so of like us against monsters. Like you second area, you have some rangers, but they're not necessarily the police. They're just more so of defending against monsters attacking the town. But I mean, that is a critique. The NPCs don't move. There's no thief system in the game.
I have a question for you. How do you feel? Because I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to like gaming waifus and shit. Because men of culture. How do you feel? There's no romance options in the game,
I was curious about that.
or
Because
if
I
you
was
weren't aware, spoiler. There's no romance options in the
no,
game.
no, I mean, because I did some floating. I mean, I've never felt like the romance options in games were critical for my enjoyment. It's always nice to have a girlfriend, but I- outside of Fable, where I was having my own like seed go up in front of me, they were just kind of like a fun thing to do a little bit. Um, I I'm okay with it being gone. It's a feature that I missed that I think it should be like maybe like seems like a staple in these type of games. You can romance one of your partners and have that dialogue, but I don't. Do they ever really go anywhere in games just besides you get to sleep with this person? Like,
In Mass Effect a little bit, but that was also mainly to the point where the Mass Effect, like all your decisions kind of like carried over. So that might be a hyperbole of an example or like a specific like exception example because Mass Effect, Mass Effect was a game where you can romance you can romance your part, you can romance various companions, but it was a little different because of that um possibly penitent EA thing where your saves carried over from other games. But that was the biggest one on the top of my head when it comes to like romance options affecting like story or
Yeah.
gameplay or
Like
like
Cyberpunk, it was like it maybe carried over to another mission as far as how that character felt. But I mean, to your point, it's not necessarily like game changing like Mass Effect, where literally it's like
yeah.
well, it depends on if the motherfucker's in the next game or not.
Oh,
You
you
know,
fuck
so-
that bitch. I don't want nothing to do with you. Go fuck
Yeah.
the alien blue bitch.
You speak to the wrong character, and all of a sudden she becomes the villain. Like, oh my, what's happening?
Yeah.
One good news drill, I'll asterisk the Cyberpunk. I will say one of the last updates they had at the game was like now after you romance somebody, they can just show up and just chill in your apartment occasionally. So after you romance the best character game, Pan Am, you'll go home to
I
you
still
go home
fucked
to
up that dialogue scene.
fast travel. Well, no, because it was like just with an update
Oh, okay.
like a year ago. Like remember they said this is gonna be the last official update. It was from that last official update where um people you romance like Pan Am or Judy, they'll just show up and just hang out in your apartment. So when you go back to fast travel, I rest like crazy in that game, for that 20% bonus XP. Fuck it. So now they just show up. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like a feature more than it's in most games. You are right. It's more of a feature than a core element. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have like NPCs move in the city, over like romancing. I mean, just to make it feel alive. And I mean, that's something that Ubisoft is pretty good in the games. The areas you go to feel like they've been lived in.
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
city
one more
set.
one other thing I'll add, Church. Sorry to cut you off. I think one thing we're all missing is we're saying like, yeah, romancing is not that. It's just a feature in the game. It doesn't add to the lore. Mind you, I'm sure like all the Baldur's Gate 3 fans are like,
I
you
know.
motherfuckers. We're like, we never
Yeah.
played the game.
Yeah.
I will admit, I think of all of the. I think I will admit, none of us have played. When it comes to RPGs, role playing games, the most option story, other alternative endings, whatever, in modern gaming, which is Baldur's Gate 3. So I know, like I think coming into it, we all knew how romance was in Baldur's Gate 3 for a lot of people. You could fuck a bear. um, but in terms of, I'm sure there's some type of, dialogue or, romancing this person, prevents you from romancing this person. I haven't played the game, but from all I've seen from Baldur's Gate 3, I'm sure that's another exception to that where it's kind of a thing and a significant aspect of the game. But again, not all three of us have not played it.
Yeah, and that's kind of why this game is not like a 10 out of 10 like a Baldur's Gate 3. Um, is it a 9 out of 10? No, I don't. I think there's some improvement to the game that could be done, but I think it's a solid 8. Well, it's theoretically this is supposed to be an RPG light where you can complete in 20 hours, you know, have a good time building something up and then restart the game and do different concept, do it again in another 20 hours and have a different result too based off of your decisions. And that's the feeling that I'm getting from the game. Well, there is some sacrifices to that story. Um, Not to the story, but to the overall experience. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's a bad game. The loot in the game was a little bit hard to understand. I think there is a tutorial menu that explains everything, so the information's there, but it's not very friendly to new gamers. I will say this. You have to be familiar with these type of systems and games going into it. The onboarding is little to none. You just kind of run and gun, figure out in your system. Everything's done at your campsite, which is really cool. You can camp and you can talk to your companions, get to know them better. They have comments on missions that you've recently done. So be like, yo, after you do something, I want to talk to you later. So while you like cooking food that you can use as buffs or debuffs for your games, they'll give you opinions about, hey, I don't like your decisions when you did XYZ. It's hard to tell if those opinions lead to the position of your friendship later down the line. I don't know. I don't get the sense that they would not be my friend for the rest of the game. I think I can murder like an entire town and they'll be like, yeah, boy, we're gonna ride into the end of the wheels fall off. But you can't attack friendlies. You can only attack enemies at this point in the game. So you can't just massacre a town like you could do in, Skyrim, right? Just kill everybody.
I,
There's limitations though. Yeah.
I like that picture you're painting of like, yeah, so we're cooking food, we're talking about the decisions of the day. I'm just like, I'm just picturing myself like cooking food for someone. They're like, Arthur, I don't think you should have done that today. So do you want your fucking steak flavored with dirt? Shut the fuck up. Sorry, church. Right before you joined, we are talking about how I made how I was drinking some moonshine yesterday and ate a ribeye. So I just that just me. Just I live in the classic "don't bite the hand that feeds you." So can you imagine like being a guest at someone's house? You're like, so like your friend's mom's cooking your food, and be like, "Oh, by the way, Miss So and So, I don't think your car looks nice." Like, motherfucker, shut the fuck up. Sorry, I don't know why. That was just the first thing came to mind. What church was saying, how like they're talking about the decisions you made. But that's cool. That's cool that there is a like dislike system, but it's not like they dip out. That's good. One more thing. I think the last thing for me, church, is I'm glad you're liking the combat, because as much as I love Obsidian, especially I still can't wait for Outer Worlds 2. I was just nervous coming into this game, like seeing this game, because I was worried that the old school, I don't want to call it jank, but the old school like Skyrim style of combat might feel outdated for today's RPGs. I mean, like the classic, like I know you can go third person, but like the classic first person where you're like your arms just run, vertically. You know what I mean? It's that very like robotic Skyrim, Bethesda like run. So I was worried that type of combat might feel outdated for a lot of people. I know, like I know you like various type of action games, but including like you're talking about Final Fantasy 16, Devil May Cry. So if that type of combat still holds up for like a fast-paced action guy like you, I'm glad that that wasn't a potential negative that I was worried it was going to be for a lot of the mass, like quote unquote mainstream customer bases.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good evolution of what I want. Like, I want like Elder Scrolls to see this combat and then build that off of to the next game. Just take this and then innovate upon it. Because playing those old games where you just kind of like hack and slash left to right, it's not good. This one you at least attacking at different angles. You can hold down for more of a powerful attack that has abilities. Your swords have enhancements or attributes to them. So it's fun. I think combat's the best thing in this game so far that kept me going. I'll let you guys know if, I guess this is my preliminary review, if there's really anything such as builds in this game. Are you going an ice mage or so a fire mage? And I think there is potential because I see magic books that you can buy that have that kind of build set. Like here's all the ice moves in one book that you can summon from. Same thing for fire, electricity. It's pretty fun. So yeah.
Very
Don't mind
cool.
me just laughing. Sorry, Joe, I'll say, don't mind me just laughing to myself. I'm just like, we check back in at church. It's like, oh, what's your play style? Ice mage, fire mage? Nah, Second Amendment, flintlocks all day. Bah, 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 bah. And so, because I will say this, especially as a guy that played that game called Flintlock, I still say it's atrocious that they dare name their game after like some of the weirdest, weakest looking weapons I've seen in modern gaming. So going from that game, Flintlock, it was a Souls-like game that's just that like it was the weapons just felt so underwhelming, to what I'm seeing for the gameplay. The gameplay for this, I'm just really happy that Obsidian has another, again, where I think we're all in agreement, even for us seeing, even for us, for Joe and I that saw the combat and all the trailers, I think we were all in agreement early on this one to be like a 10 out of 10. But to know that it's an 8 out of 10, and then that Obsidian has another W under their book, it makes me excited. It makes me happy, and like I said, I can't wait for Outer Worlds 2. Because I love if you want a Game Pass, if you want to, by the way, church, if you want another like short-ish RPG, that's like fun but not too in depth, if that's what you're looking for, I highly recommend Outer Worlds. It's really fun.
Yeah. I plan to check out the second one. But I'll check out the first one too, if it's just as short as this game. Are you guys planning to pick up a vow to play it, or what are you guys' thoughts?
I'll probably check it out on Game Pass. This is on Game Pass, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's on Game Pass. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
on
y'all
Game
probably,
Pass as of the 18th.
yeah, I'll
Because
probably
just to
check that.
clarify, Church, you're playing on early, like early launch, early release, right?
Yeah. I spent the $20 to play it extra, to play it early. It's been worth it. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. $20. I don't regret it at all. It's fun. My only joy if you play the game, just like
Mhm.
honestly, man, I didn't care about the story at all
Really?
until yeah. Just like go through, man, just like decide what you want to be and just go after it. You know,
Save,
it's a lot of
save
fun.
the world. You gotta save
Okay.
these kids. Fuck
Yeah.
these kids. I'm an ice mage. I don't give a shit.
Because I'm glad the gameplay is really good. Because I mean, I was like, if the gameplay wasn't like as enjoyable, then I probably wouldn't even consider it. But it sounds like the gameplay is good. I like that the kind of the world is more interesting when you're talking to all the characters and the side missions. Honestly, that's how I feel about Skyrim. Like, I mean, when it comes to the story in general, playing Skyrim, I never like, yo, the main campaign story is so epic, whatever. It's really just about the side missions, and like talking to the people and like how it connects to other people in different parts of the world. To me, that's always been like at least half of like when it comes to the Skyrim stuff. So yeah, sounds like something I'll definitely pick up. It doesn't seem like it's a Redfall situation. So but yeah, man, you're more than welcome to stay, or if you want to dive back into Avowed, you're more than welcome to hop out. But thanks for giving us the 411 on that shit.
Yeah, man, anytime. Shoot.
On the ground with Church.
Yeah, just
Next segment 11.
we gotta talk about Overwatch. You guys are sleeping on Overwatch, by the way.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No,
No, y'all sleeping, man. I'm telling you.
All
no,
right,
it's
so
not.
so
It's not
while you're,
sleeping. It's more like actively ignoring.
I mean, while you're here, and it is gaming news, and since you know about the news and you want to share it, what is so goddamn important about Overwatch right
What?
now?
What's up?
What? How many things of rivals is Overwatch copying? Go. I'm not far off, by the way, Drew. I'm really not.
No, I actually don't think that's the case at all. So Rivals has just been a great success. We've been playing it right on the pod and just been killing it. It's a lot of fun, has a lot of heroes. So if you're an Overwatch player like myself, we're like, dang, what is the response to Rivals? How they're going to combat this juggernaut that just seems to give in everything the players can have. I mean, I bought so many skins and rivals already. Like, a man of culture myself, Psylocke, Invisible Woman. If you know, you know. Um, so what Blizzard decided to do, they had this event called Overwatch Spotlight, which just kind of gave you a roadmap of the next 3 to 4 seasons. And they're doing fundamentally changes to the game. They're adding a perk system for every hero, minor and major. As you play, you unlock new abilities or new buffs or debuffs based on those abilities and a major game changing perk at the same time. So some examples of this is now Soldier 76 can now not only does he has a health pack, he has a stim pack, which increases his rate of fire and movement. And that can basically synergize with the ultimate and you can shoot faster. But the the trade-off is you can't heal yourself. So out of all 44 characters they have in the game, they've done this system overhaul, and it's not a special event. It's just the new Overwatch of how they're going to play in terms of the perk system. And that's fundamentally changing what the game is at that point. And they're introducing this new mode, which I think is getting the most hype. It's called Stadium, which is like a 5v5 7 round mode, which essentially is deadlock. You start the game out with your team, and you have this huge list of trees of traits, talents, and abilities and builds that you unlock currency to upgrade your character every single round. Which is just a new game mode. It looks pretty sick. It's pretty cool, and I think the community is really excited about it. It's a big move by Blizzard, and it's not just 6 months after Rivals has launched, right? This is like the immediate response of what people wanted from the community is like, hey, what, competition breeds, better games for us all. And I think that's what we're getting so far in Overwatch. It's reinvigorated myself into the game, the crew that I'll play with. They've seen these updates that are coming. Next week and they're ready to play. And even some people I know that uninstalled it and just been playing Marvel Rivals have reinstalled the game because it was enough to bring them back. And of course, they also bring about loot boxes too. They did a bunch of announcements as well. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
It looks like there's 6,000 more players just this week alone from PC anyway, as far as for Steam DB info. So the increase of players definitely is a thing. So whatever they're doing as far as for up, when it comes to the adjustments and refinements and new upgrades and whatnot, seems like it's working so far. I think for me, I'm different than y'all who's had that history of Overwatch. I've never had a history of Overwatch at all. I've never played the game, so I would be. I mean, even from the first one, I would be. I'm kind of stuck on Rivals right now. I would be open to considering Overwatch in the future, but it's not a pull me back situation, obviously, because it's a different scenario for you guys. But that's good. You know what I mean? It would be. Do you think that they would potentially do that PVE thing that they first said that they would do, and they never ended up doing? I think they
For
would do it
Overwatch? No,
for
no.
Overwatch.
I think that ship has sailed. I don't think
Okay.
anybody wants it anymore.
Mm,
Right? So I think they're just focusing on PvP and trying to make that the best experience
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, I know you guys are like turned off about Overwatch, but it's one of those juggernauts games in the industries, right? That is it going to die? Is it going to fail out? Are they making changes? I think it's something to keep your eye on it. I've been saying like, hey, for the last 6 to 8 months, like this game has been steadily making improvements, and they're showcasing it again. They'll put in the effort and the time to fundamentally cater to the community as much as possible. Um, I don't know. I would see if it works.
I'm mixed because words like new, I don't think should be thrown around a lot. Because all this perk system was supposed to exist day one. This perk system was supposed to exist day one with the PVE. So it's not like they had to create new assets, new abilities, things from scratch. They're just digging into the trash of what they threw of where they put the PV mode and were like, oh, these perk systems. That's where this came from. Like May's thing, how now when you freeze May's ice perk to self heal, now she does damage around her. Those are things we've already seen. A lot of these we've already seen in trailers. When they were discussing this PVE mode, like the whole level up, choose this perk, level up, choose this perk, level up, choose this perk. Was it from Stadium? Again, I'm glad it's finally there, but this was that was stuff that was supposed to come out day one, August 10th, 2023. You know, so I mean, I'm fine. I mean, I guess I'm glad it's there, but when it's like, I don't know, McDonald's advertises the Rib Witch with pickles, and they take it away, and 2 years later, like, hey guys, we have this other McRib with no pickles. It's like, I know people are happy about it. That's not the best example. That's all I can think of. But it's like, again, it's like, I'm glad it's there, but stuff like that is what warranted this whole sequel to even exist when it was supposed to drop, when it dropped, back in August. Like I said, that perks, like I said, it wasn't only the PvE mode that I was looking into. It was really that perk system, because that was going to let me experience these characters in a way I've never experienced them before with these perks, with May. So like what was announced back when this PV perk system was announced way back in September, like, or late 2022, early 2023, was like Mona May's perks was, hey, you can either choose her self-healing freeze move to be a moving snowball where you heal significantly less, but you're able to like roll and do damage. You're able to like be a living snowball. Or the other perk option for that is what we're seeing now, which was you pop in your iceberg and now it does some AoE damage around you. So again, glad it's there, but I'll just be realistic and not giving him the biggest praise, only because these are things that, one, warranted the sequel to begin with at all. Two, where has it been this whole time? You know what I mean? It's like just because that PV system went away, this perk system's been in their back pocket for the longest time, and it took them getting a player count of less than 15,000 people, at least on Steam, to finally realize, oh, maybe we should bring back some of the stuff we promised. Which again, not like mad about, but it's just been like, okay, so we had all these updates they've sitting on, and just now they're bringing it out. It's very, I mean, it's clearly, I guess like reactionary to Rivals, but like when players are vocalizing X, Y, and Z, when they're seeing even prior to Rivals getting announced, like even before new Rivals was going to exist, that they've just been chilling this in the back pocket, and it's like I don't know. It's like I said, I'm glad it's there, but for me, it's not gonna bring me back, because even if it does, I've just got too used to these rival characters. Like, I'm not a big damage guy, but damn, Iron Man's fun, and like I can't go back to Thera, who's a hover person, because there is, like, at least I don't know how many characters I've had since I've last played, but last I checked, there are, at least the last time I played, there were no true flying characters. There were a lot of hover characters. There was Farah. There was, you can fly during Mercy's ult. You can have that robot that copies people, kind of like what they got Loki from, and she had like a hover move. But like, there's no Storm, there's no Iron Man. Like I said, there's no true flyers. So, like I said, that's just my thing. I'm glad it's here, but like when I see like articles of like new this, new that, I'm just like, what are you talking about? This, we've seen this. They've released trailers showing these exact moves early 2023. So that's just my thoughts on it.
So a little bit of pushback on that. I think also it brings up a great feeling of, well, a lot of people felt in the community is Overwatch 2 is slowly regressing back to what we had in initial Overwatch, which is true. They bring a lot of systems, things that we've had in early Overwatch that they got rid of. In terms of the perk system, I mean, that was for PvE where you can build your characters, and we never saw that. So I would say technically it is new. Whether or not they were using assets or systems they invented from previous game modes to create something new, I'm pretty sure they have ideas, right? But for each new character design. But fundamentally, the perks were never for PvP. So this is a new PvP experience of how to play Overwatch, which you can customize your character and how fundamentally it plays the way you want to discern new different type of compositions. It's going to change the matchups and the game styles and the counters in the game and how it plays. I think that is new, and something like Stadium far exceeds something off. I think we've seen in what we even promised in PvE. It's just it's more of like a MOBA game at that point, which is kind of interesting in its new mode. Overwatch is in an interesting place because they have to do stuff to garner the audience back, which is fine. It's a free to play game, right? So anybody curious about these changes can hop in and play for free. It's not going to cost you anything. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, it's not for you. But I do like the signs that they are making these changes as opposed to seeing such a great IP just, die away. A lot of people love these characters. I do. I think it's more of a polished game than Rivals is. After the honeymoon of Rivals wears off, there's a lot of small optimizations, quality of life features that I wish Rivals would have, which I'm sure we'll get, sooner or later. I'm pretty sure it'll come season 2, but I do like the polish of Overwatch. But I think both games can exist at itself. You can play. I'm gonna play both, so it's not a problem. So.
Oh yeah. I don't think, I know phrases like, "Oh, this game's dead," gets thrown around a lot, and I can understand why. But no, we're not going to see, at least in the near future, a Suicide Squad situation or a Concord situation, that we're seeing with Overwatch 2. Like, was it being overshadowed completely? Yeah. Even with this new update that a lot of people are like happy about, but it's like current Steam rival 280,000, current rival Overwatch 2 21,000. So again, phrases like "it's dead" is thrown around a lot, but it's not like true dead. Do you think that them adding a MOBA version is going to take away, or we may see them start no longer supporting Heroes of the Storm, that MOBA game they have from Blizzard?
No, not at all. I think we just have two fundamentally different ways to play Overwatch. The classic version, with a perk system, which is changing a little bit, and this new MOBA stadium way of playing that you just could have a different audience. Because Jarrell, it's switching from first person to third person in that game mode. It looks completely different how you play. How you play is different. So I think it's going to garner a new audience either within itself or attract new people to that audience as well. I think it'd be fine. Yeah. I mean, that's just Overwatch. I know a lot of the people I play with now today are just, uh, ex Apex players, right? They just hate that game and they found like comfort in Overwatch and how they like that game. Well, they don't want to play Fortnite. It's not for them. So they're like Overwatch is great and they love the changes that Blizzard are doing. I've constantly hear of like, yo, this is so much better than Apex. The way they do the battle pass is really friendly. It's not overbearing. The rewards you can get from the battle pass in terms of mythic skins are really great. I can pick and choose what I want. So there's a lot of positive feedback from new players coming to the game that they're doing something right. I think there's still some ways to go. Um, but I don't know what would Blizzard as gamers, what would we want from Overwatch as a game to be like good again? Like what would we want that to be? Or is it just, has the ship sailed? Are we on to Marvel baby only? Like what's going on?
Um, obviously I can't really answer because I haven't played Overwatch here. However, I can say I remember before Rivals came out, Arthur was very like, this is gonna be another like shitty free to play game. Fuck this, whatever, And I said, hey, maybe it's not. Like maybe it might be pretty good, And then, sure enough, we're doing mad streams. We're like, this game's actually pretty fucking dope. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't surprise me if there was a potential shift in the tide where where maybe they do this one thing where you're like, all right, let me just see, I was like, let me just see what they're doing now, and revisit it. So I mean, I'm always open to some potential in the future. I was trying to play Apex earlier today. God damn, that game takes way too long to load for such a very little outcome if you die. I'm just like, god damn, like Fortnite is faster to upload and play than like Apex. So I'm just like, yeah. So yeah, I'm always open to what's gonna happen in the future, but
Whether it's Rivals or Overwatch, like, hey, that's one thing we can agree on. It's like, let's take a break from Apex.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Church,
common.
Church, I got good news for you.
Oh, I love good news.
I've done something I have never done. I have fully completed fully completed a battle pass and did both of the time challenges and Rivals.
Wow.
I did both the midnight thing to get that Thor skin. I did the dancing lion thing, Chinese
Okay.
New Year to get the Store Lord thing, and I'm donezo with that. I'm donezo with that fucking battle pass. The closest I've ever got was when you were there when we were all really really head deep, neck deep in Sea of Thieves when they started that first battle pass,
Yeah.
the season pass, and I got to like level 95 of 100, and up to that point that was the closest I've ever gotten to fully doing a battle pass. And because I put what I thought was a lot of time in that battle pass, so when I didn't complete it, that's what really gave me perspective of fuck, maybe battle passes aren't for me. Like I thought I put a lot of time in that game, and I still didn't complete it, and it's timed, and now all this shit I didn't unlock for quote unquote free via $10 battle pass. Now this shit's will be on the store, and I have to like buy it if I did. You know what I mean? Especially with Sea of Thieves and other battle passes, a lot of shit is like set based. You know what I mean? Like with Sea of Thieves and battle pass, it's like, hey, you unlock this leg armor, or however you want to call it. Like in Fortnite, you unlock the glider, then the helmet, then the skin, then the emote, then the this. So to get that far and not to the finish line, you're like, fuck, man, I got 9 out of 10 things, but I got to buy this last 10th thing with money. Fuck. But with this, I still say, regardless of this isn't a shot at Overwatch. This is just, I think, a win for Rivals. I still think Rivals has the best battle pass mechanic. I think Helldivers had a second because Helldivers still lets you take as long as you want. But with Helldivers, you have to like actually use your currency that you earn to unlock the next page. Whereas Church, something you told me on that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know it was an option that in Rivals you just have to earn those challenge coins. You don't have to spend them like you do in Helldivers. As long as you earn them, that unlocks the next segment. So I was like telling Church, like, yo, bud, page 9. I think I'm gonna fucking do it. I think I'm gonna complete a battle pass. And it's all these 12-year-olds, or those of us that like know life a game, or that quote unquote you're unemployed for on a Tuesday. That's all the fucking time in the world. I'm like, yo, man, like you're all those. I haven't clocked out on time from work in like 3 weeks. So for me to like do a battle pass at my time, at my rate, I'm like, oh shit, Rivals. Regardless of this Rivals Overwatch, civil war that's happening right now, I cannot believe that Chinese developer has my favorite battle pass system in gaming.
Dude, that's great to hear. I mean, I think Rivals handles the battle pass really well. In fact, that it never expires, it's just a testament to like maybe you can pick and choose what you want this season. Next season starts out, you just finish it off by collecting those coins again, spend them when you have them. I think it's a friendly battle pass. I was concerned that it would take a long time to complete. I'm actually really impressed that you finished it. I'm only on like maybe page 7 out of 10. But with like, I don't know, 50 days left of the season, if I just ground out my challenges, I'm pretty sure I could finish the battle pass with like a lot of time left on the clock. And that's good for me because I don't want to dedicate every week playing a game like 15 hours to get everything from a battle pass. I think the days of that in Fortnite or Apex is gone away, and I think Rivals is very friendly to that. Now, to me, Overwatch has like the best battle pass in terms of rate of completion. You can finish Overwatch's battle pass in like a week and a
ASAP.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think if they could just make it permanent, then it would be the ultimate for me. But that battle pass is like, I can play other games at that point.
I got that free time. Oh,
Yeah.
one other thing, Church, another good news you like to hear.
What's up?
I unlocked what I think we could both agree is the best skin in the game. And I earned it, which is the Invisible Woman Malice skin.
I mean, yeah, dude, kudos to that skin. Yeah, I play Invisible Woman because of that skin a lot.
Gerald seen that skin. He knows what I'm talking about. It's like shit. There was a game where I was the only healer and I had that Malice skin. I was like, it became an escort mission. Protect the cakes, protect the cheeks. But yeah, but again, because that skin raw is like what 10. I know there's a bundle for like the VIP, the emote, but like otherwise vanilla, I think that skin alone is like 10-15 bucks. But I was able to earn it just from doing the regular challenges and shit. So I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, just the way they have you like paths to own cosmetics in this game, it's surprisingly not as proprietary as other games of service, especially coming from NetEase, right? Like the game industry is a funny place. Like we all love NetEase, but they made that Diablo Mortar game that we all hate. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the same company.
I still can't believe how much
Later.
NetEase,
That's
how
probably
much
why we're all
NetEase.
baffled. Yeah, we're like, wait, this is great.
Because
Like,
to
what?
Jarrell's point, that's why I was skeptical. I'm like, God, NetEase is making another freemium, whatever. It's free. It's Marvel. I'll try it. It has NetEase attached to it, whatever. And then all of a sudden we all play a launch and Drell's listening to the music. All of a sudden, we're listening to the dialogue and like fucking Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Captain America are having like traumatic experiences. Like, yeah, man, I would have rescued you if I could. I didn't know you were there. I didn't know you were alive. He's like, yeah, it's okay, man. Just got my 1,000-yard stare, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I still think it's wild that NetEase, Chinese-based development company, has like some of my favorite like free to play systems, microtransactions, battle passes. Because that's another first for me. I think this is the first time, or the first time in a long time, because it's also a genre of games I don't really play, I don't really fuck with. I think it might be the first time that I've earned like a skin that you would normally have to buy via the Malice skin. So that was another like, oh shit, oh fuck, I don't have to spend all my money. Let's fucking go.
Church, I was curious too. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead. So,
I was gonna say, I was curious because before you hopped in, we were talking about the state of play. Did you get the chance to watch that at all earlier this
oh,
week?
I did, man. Such a snooze fest, bro. I I think the most memorable thing, the coolest thing in the whole thing was the Metal Gear Solid Delta game preview, which you got to see all the villains from. But I'm like, yo, that game looks really good. I ain't gonna get it because I might get it 4 years from now when it's $10. Like, oh yeah, this might be
Mhm.
good. But
Yeah.
that was the most memorable thing from that whole press conference. I think maybe they announced a new level in Astro World, which I played, which was really cool. I downloaded that. But yeah, it was terrible in my opinion. Did you guys
Yeah.
enjoy that?
I was watching a little bit of it. I was looking at the YouTube comments, and yeah, people. I mean, people definitely were like. Some people were like stated disappointment. Like they're just like, they're like, this is very uninteresting, you know. And I was just like, oh damn, like, yeah. So definitely a little concerning, you know. As we've kind of, as you've mentioned, I'll give you credit for this. As you've mentioned, as far as like, what else does Sony have under their belt, you know?
Yeah, dude. I'll go my little rant for 5 minutes. Bless me. Since the
Bless your heart.
announcement of the PlayStation 5, they announced Miles Morales, God of War, Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2. They released all the games they announced in like 2019 and have not shown us anything new except for Ghosts of Yeti, which just came out recently. Um, and then what was it? Concord, which was a disaster, right? I I real I realize that PlayStation fans, and I'm one of them, have been giving Sony a lot of grace, but it is a drought of a console. First, what they were known for in PlayStation 4 was the epic first party games, and this console generation has been very lacking of anything new. And it's been one game, maybe a year, God of War, Spider-Man 2, that DLC got canceled. I don't know what to expect from it. And they've been lucky. Helldivers 2, they were able to publish that game. They rode that flag all the way out into Concord, into that crash. But yeah, I'm not really excited for anything new on the PlayStation yet. Um yeah, from the even the new game they announced under that banner, I just don't care. Only Mushu looks kind of cool, but I don't think that's a console exclusive game, right? They showed. So no, I mean, so maybe Game Pass will pick it up if I'm lucky. I don't know, but we got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming. So like, what are we doing? I'll be okay. Then I got Expedition 33. I mean, Xbox has these dominoes. Let's see if they nail these game releases and they're actually good games. But Sony needs to do something soon. That's my thoughts, man, because it's a drought out here.
As a
Yeah.
Bungie fan, do you think it's weird we still have yet to see anything from Marathon?
No, not at all. I think that game needs to be really good. And they need to nail it. I mean, and just the timing needs to be good. I mean, everybody's on Rivals right now. Imagine releasing Marathon during this honeymoon phase, right? It would just be that type of gameplay is just going to be shitted on completely. Like, who wants another looter shooter game, right, with a battle pass? Like,
Yeah.
who
And what's
wants
the other game from Sony? What's the other game, Drill, from Sony? It's another like hipstery
kill the
steal
rich again?
steal from the rich and
Oh, Fair
give the
Games
poor.
got pushed back to next year. Yeah,
Yeah.
like anyone's gonna be playing that next
Who gives
year.
a shit?
But yeah,
Yeah, so Sony's going to be relying on Ghost to carry the year. And then maybe they'll get like a good second studio publisher. Do they have something else coming out this year that I'm missing? What are your thoughts?
I think, and this isn't really a Sony exclusive, but Death Stranding 2, I think, is this year, right?
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah.
Do we expect that game to do well? Like, people didn't like the first one.
That's a great question. I don't know. I think the funny thing is that the first game did better on PC after it came out on PlayStation when it first released, and like even though I hate Jim Ryan, I kind of understand why maybe they were a little hesitant on like, hey, you got this new project, and they're like, well, Death Stranding, so like I could see financially they're looking at the numbers, even though like I still stick to my point as far as like it's good, damn, I have them on there. But as far as for like the it being like a big selling game, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think if it's going to hit the niche audience, but as far as for those diving into it, to me, that's always been the biggest issue with Death Stranding. No, a lot of people don't know what the fuck that game's about, and narratively, it just doesn't do a very good job of bringing people in to understand it. It's just kind of like the game is the game. You get it or you don't. And like, while I can kind of respect that, getting into anime, the other side of the spectrum, I'm like, well, there's some animes where they do explain it really well. So I'm like, what are we doing, Kojima? So I don't know. I'm a little worried as far as for how those sales are going to be. I think it's going to be one of those games where it'll be a cult classic later, and it'll just do much better PC. PC sales will just do it more justice.
That's that crowd's, yeah. If you're telling me, hey, Sony has, Ghost of Tsushima 2 coming out via Ghost of Yotai and this other stuff, and they're like, okay, so here's this game, right? It's the future. There's an octopus baby in a capsule, right? And there's goo monsters, and you're a delivery guy. Yeah, just at a glance, don't think a lot of the GTA 6 crowd is going to come over to a Death Stranding 2 game. But that's just like, even like Gerald, even when he was at the Game Awards, remember when Jeff Keighley brought him out, even there, like even Jordan Peele, or I forget if it was Jordan Peele that was talking about it, or Kevin Keighley, he's like, this will be a game. Like they were just kind of joking at the Kojima style of gameplay, which is like, it will be a game. It will be a game. Now mind you, this was not about the Stranding. This was about his other Xbox.
Yeah, they showed that
game,
weird like pre-footage
people screaming
thing.
And shit.
Yeah.
But it's still that Kojima style where legally it will be a game. How do you describe it? Anime, anime. It's an experience that's anime that's not really explained too well. Guillermo del Toro and Monster Energy's in it for some reason. You just gotta roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game is not going to win Game of the Year, especially from a gameplay perspective. I mean, maybe they have guns in this game, but they're trying to sell that point because like the director's cut had guns. But like it's the same game. You're setting up telecoms just in the UK, right? Like, which is fine. I'm not gonna get it day one. Like I'm like, yo, am I in the mood to do nothing?
Right, understandably so. It's like, you got a bunch of deliveries. What do you mean you don't want to do that day one?
Yeah.
Church, I love you reminding us about the director's cut, because it was like, okay, this game didn't sell as enough as we liked. Fuck, how do you get more Americans to play it? Guns. Oh shit, put guns in it. Now you're talking about language.
Guns and race cars. So, I mean, it shows that he's willing to change, and Death Stranding 2 could be a fundamentally different experience that could have more of a mainstream audience if they, lean into it. But it fundamentally, we're going from one location to the next as it's cool gameplay, and I don't think that's captivating a lot of people. I like it because, man, when you're on that journey and the music, the score hits, when you're playing Death Stranding, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is magical in that regard.
Yeah, but it's like you have to be a gamer to get it, right?
Facts.
Yeah. So yeah, Sony's kind of thin. I mean, then we got GTA.
Heretic, the Naughty Dog game that with the bald Asian. No, that's probably next year's game. So
no, just another.
I was thinking about what other games. Yeah, what other games we're working on, but no.
The quippy bald Asian.
So that game could be a hit or a miss. Do you think that game is going to be more narrative or gameplay? Because I look at Last of Us as okay gameplay. When you play in the game, it's basic stealth mechanics, and that's because I love Metal Gear Solid, right? They're not inventing anything new playing, but the story is what drives it. Do we think Naughty Dog is focusing on gameplay or focusing on story when it comes to the Heretic?
I hope it focuses on gameplay. This is me, muscle memory. You show me a game where a spaceship's involved, I want space combat. God damn it. That just yeah, hell, even like Starfield, I know, name any game that has like great, mediocre, or bad space combat. That's just my muscle memory. You show me in a spaceship, I want to be able to shoot another spaceship with my spaceship. It's that might be caveman brain mentality, but like I said, like the church said, fuck what Kojima, we got to add stuff to get this. The director's got to sell more motorcycles and guns. That'll do it. That's like I said, to a point. Like I'm in that category. So I'm hoping at least I hope they do a little more gameplay because, like I said, Naughty Dog's like Last of Us. It wasn't bad gameplay, but like it wasn't a lot. You know what I mean?
You make a fair point with The Last of Us, Church, because I feel like Days Gone's gameplay is more fun than Last of Us. If we're just talking about gameplay, I think Days Gone's gameplay is done better and smoother, and how you navigate inventory and items. It's not like click left, hold B, and press X. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like that's like the type of like inventory system for The Last of Us. I'm like, okay, whatever, but it was kind of forgivable because the music was incredible and the narrative was incredible, and the sound effects are great too. Like you feel like you really blow off a motherfucker's head when you shoot somebody in The Last of Us. But as far as gameplay, yeah, that definitely was not the strongest component of it. So for this, I think it's going to be more gameplay driven, much more than The Last of Us. It seems like there's going to be a lot of boss battles and stuff. I just hope it's not too formulaic and they don't try too hard when it comes to like I hope they just let the story be the story and not try to like quip it up and all that shit. So I think it is going to be more gameplay. How much more? I don't know. I know it would be more than The Last of Us, and I think it will play better than The Last of Us. But yeah, it's definitely a coin toss. I mean, it could go either way very easily. And I know they just announced it, so I'm trying to give it some grace. But it just adds to your point as far as like, okay, we have this game that they announced. We really don't know when it's coming out. And that's kind of weird too because it's 2025. We're kind of done with those type of announcements. Like, oh man, that looks great. Can't wait to play it. Like how many failed games has happened when it comes to that. So it is concerning. It is concerning to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we get more of a Uncharted in space type of experience than The Last of Us. If I had to throw my hat into the discussion as well. But yeah, again, when is that game coming out? I have a feeling it's a PlayStation 5 and PS6 release.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly.
Oh
Um,
my god! And then they're gonna do remakes. God damn it!
I,
No, I thought we were done with that. No,
I,
yeah.
I'm waiting for the God of War remakes to come out soon. So yeah,
No, because they'll take it off the fucking PlayStation Plus Premium. I was gonna play Horizon Zero Dawn, and then once the remake got announced, they took that shit off the fucking PlayStation Premium. I'm like, you
Timely,
motherfuckers.
yeah. They timely took that shit
It was
off.
like the same week. I was like, yo, Joel, because Joel knows I love bows, and that game is just bow the game. Like Horizon Zero Dawn is just bows. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck with some great bow mechanics. Let's go. And that was like on a Monday. And like Thursday was that state of play or whatever when they announced the new Horizon Zero Dawn remake. I'm like, no, 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 no. And I go back to the PlayStation Plus premium catalog and it's gone. I'm just like, motherfuckers, man. So yeah, they just added Ragnarok. So hopefully they'll remake that shit so I can play it on premium. Otherwise, I'm not renewing that motherfucker because that's all I use it for is to play older-ish PlayStation games I couldn't play before on an Xbox. Um,
No, I want to buy it on
question,
Steam. I just want it to be a little cheaper as far as God of War Ragnarok.
yeah,
Like, give it to me for $35. I'll be good.
that was for me, outside looking in, um, not this, the fact we haven't seen too much more in Marathon. That was just the main noticeable thing for me because I'm just still like, cool. You bought Bungie for how much? What are you doing with it?
yeah. I mean, I think Wolverine was a 2023 release date from the initial 2019 trailer, right? And we're in 2025, right? And
Yeah.
it's Insomniac's been carrying this generation, in my opinion, hard for PlayStation. So what does that game state? When are we going to receive that? It just, I mean, it hasn't affected Sony, right? They're selling the most consoles, so they just look at that like we got the biggest user
Yeah.
base,
75
and
million right now.
we're about to get Xbox games too. Indiana Jones coming in the next month. I'm sure Avowed is gonna come before the summer starts too. So they will have the games that are good, quote unquote, come to the platform. But
Yeah, their third parties are canning pretty hard. Helldivers, Stellar Blade, yeah.
yeah,
That DLC, ooh, looks good.
yeah,
Is there another like fighting type game? Is it called Phantom Blade? I'm trying to think of what it's called. There's like another like
Phantom
fight
Zero, yeah,
Phantom
Yeah,
Zero. Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, when is that release date?
on it.
Because I
But
know because even though that one's kind of like, I mean, I don't know how much more. I'm sure it'll have some type of uniqueness, but it's like, hey, another game that we've kind of played before, but it looks good. But I guess that's kind of anything when it comes to games. But
yeah,
Fall 2026 is all we have on
oh
Phantom
fuck,
Blade Zero.
bro, yeah. So it's rough out here.
are you picking up the Switch too? I know you weren't here for that episode.
Yeah, so for the Switch 2, excited, excited. Terrible announcement of an announcement. Like what are we doing here? Like I got blue balls or we whatever.
We, we
Um,
we talked about it briefly, but it was reactionary because there was like a legitimate tech conference, and one of the vendors that's going to make licensed accessories for the Switch 2 had those accessories on demo at this tech event. So they're like, oh, okay, go to this booth, check out what they're doing to this robot. Go to this booth, check out what they're doing for this. And I'll say, hey, who are you guys? Oh yeah, we make a part. Yeah, we're making partners accessories for the Switch 2. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, try it out. This is how it's going to feel. And everyone just started field taping it. And within like 20, within like, with, I want to say within 48 hours, Nintendo had to release like a quote unquote half-assed fucking announcement because of that, because a vendor that I don't know if they're still gonna make licensed accessories. I doubt it, but it was reactionary. They're like, we make accessories for the Switch too. Do you want to try it out? It has the same specs and size of an actual Switch too, and
that's
that's how we
hilarious.
found out.
Yeah.
Kudos to them. Just like exploring it for the to force Nintendo's hand to actually reveal something about the Switch 2 because they've been teasing it or the community's been wanting it for so long. In terms of the announcement, what's my thoughts? I really think it should have been called Super Nintendo Switch, SNS. Would have been cool. Other than that, it looks like it's I heard some people say they were like playing it safe. I mean, it looks like what I wanted from the Switch 2. The room with power is a PS4. So I'm like, okay, great. I get more powerful Nintendo games. Hopefully, because of this backwards compatibility, I can play old Switch games that will have a better performance. And maybe we'll get that, announcement of, hey, play the original Breath of the Wild, but at 60 frames per second. Since they basically were running, tech on a tablet from 2010 you know.
Right.
So I'm excited for it. I'll probably pick it up. Um, I just don't know if it would be a day one purchase for me. I don't know what the day one announcements would be for, the Switch. I mean, I'm almost got like a Steam Deck at this point, so
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Waiting is a good call. I just put in chat too. There's still no hard date. Again, Nintendo did not plan to make that announcement. It was just because some vendor was like, "Yeah, we make their accessories," so they're like, "Fuck it." So there's still no hard date for the Switch 2. So, but since, and the only day one game that we're aware of, you might have to correct me, Church. The only day one game we're aware of is like that super massive Mario Kart game that has like 16 players per map or something like that.
Yeah, 24 players. I
There you go.
mean, I wouldn't I'm not trying to undersell Mario Kart. It's the biggest. I think it outsold Animal Crossing. It's been the highest selling game since the Wii U, that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, right? It's ridiculous. So I think a new Mario Kart is not to be joked. I think it is a day one purchase for anybody that's getting the Switch. But like I'm no in rush. I'm not in a rush to get it. I think they may launch Metroid Prime 4 for the Switch too. They've already
Mm.
announced that game, showed a preview for that game. I think it'll come to Switch and Switch 2 day uh at the launch of the system. But I'm looking for like a bigger title to get me more involved,
Hmm.
like a Mario, a Zelda, or like a Star Fox. But
Mm.
I might hold off on like a month or two before picking up a Switch 2 or something
One
like that.
one question I have from outside looking in: do you think their servers will handle that 24 Mario Kart? Because I see streamers now trying to play Mario Kart Live, and it's like kind of a running joke that someone's just gonna get kicked out or can't load into the server or some shit like that.
Um, I don't know. It depends how good the net code is. I think Notorious for Switch has been pretty bad. The one game that I think was really good for the Switch was Monster Hunter Rise for the Switch. That I don't know how Capcom did that, but that game ran flawlessly online with people and was no lags. You couldn't even tell. But it's whether Nintendo's gonna finally take a step into the future. And that's what this April announcement is about, right? Just kind of getting the details. Like, what is the Switch 2? Like, make me kill. Besides,
Right.
it's a more powerful system. It seems like maybe the controls is like a mouse pad that you can use. Like, show me the new gimmick to the system. Show me what your new user interface for the system. Are we having a different Miiverse? Like, what is it about it that's going to get me excited? Because God forbid it's just a 2 on the back of it. That would be a little bit disappointing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought church when we show up like, yeah, your motherfuckers like, no, Switch 2's about to drop. Let's go. And he's like, it's all right. Which is again fair because we have yet to get this is fair because we have to get a true conference state of play, something that was meant to be built around that, following that tech conference, quote unquote.
I think it's just sorry to cut you off. It's a bigger screen. The Joy-Cons look cool to snap it on. Did they fix the drip, the control drift in the Joy-Cons? I need these answers.
Did
I got
Nintendo even
Right.
fully address that exists? Because I remember people were getting
No.
like super slander. Because there was a
No.
while where people were getting like, hey, I have Joy-Con drift. That doesn't exist. You're like, fuck you. That's slander. What? Wait, no. Like Nintendo was a plague.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I really feel like them having backwards compatibility, I feel like that was really the saving grace for the system right now, just because we don't know what's coming out brand new for the system. So the fact that they did say that yes, it is going to be backwards compatible, it's kind of almost like a Windows update or something, as far as like, well, gotta get the Switch 2 from the Switch 1, and the hardware is so old on the Switch 1, even though it's, it outsold the PlayStation 2. The fact that they made it backwards compatible, I think, was one of the smartest moves, and obviously I hope it is a more powerful system, especially as far as for like the internet being that much better. So we will see what happens there. I'll go ahead, Church.
Yeah, I think what's really because the Switch 2 it might be okay. Somehow Microsoft, by sheer luck, has this design to every new game must run on the Series S, right? And I think the Switch 2 is going to be as powerful as the Series S. So I think games like Avowed that runs on the Series S or Diablo 4, I think you're going to see ports to Switch 2 that can somehow, quote unquote, keep up with the generation of games, at least from a Microsoft perspective, if they'll keep that initiative going. So we might get into a situation where Nintendo has the same games with less drop off in quality than previous generations when like, oh yeah, you guys got the latest Call of Duty, but do you really have the latest Call of Duty on the Switch? It's not the same. We all saw that Mortal Kombat 1 come to the Switch, right?
That was bad, dude.
Yeah, that was pretty sad. I know we're running along here on the show. Arthur, was there any other topics you wanted to discuss that you dropped in chat?
Another minimal praise to Rivals. Church, I don't know if you saw I put in chat how I, as a fan, don't like anytime I go on YouTube or social media, people are just because people have, they live off FOMO, fear of missing out. They're like, oh, leak about this character, leak about this character, leak about this character. Well, it turns out the Rivals developers had like a Q&A on Reddit or somewhere. And they're like, what about the leaks? They're like, oh yeah, not all of them are real. We put out fake leaks on purpose. I was like, what? That's fucking genius. Because and that's the other thing with leaks too. It's like, how many times have we heard leak and like, oh, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Like early in the pod, we were saying how like I've filtered it to no longer see results from Rolling Stone because Rolling Stone wrote an article, again, just to recap, something I was talking about early in the pod, Church. is Rolling Stone on an article that was like, this was prior to the state of play, was Metal Gear Solid Delta confirms its date. I'm like, oh, we have a date, so I click it. Mind you, this is pre-state of play. And when you open the article, it says, oh, trusted leak shows the release date to be this, this, this. I'm like, well, leak, is it confirmed? That's not how words work. So someone like me that's tired of leaks and tired of all this like shit, because I know E3 is dead, but I still like those E3 moments. I still like those reveals. I still like the fanfare. I like seeing a reveal when there's thought and effort put into it, and not some fucking TikTok jackass that's just like, oh, trusted leak here at first. Like, I don't give a shit. So to know that Rivals is actively putting like fake files in their data mine sources and fake leaks to address all these bullshit influencers, I think that's awesome. And I wish that was more common, because I'm over this leak FOMO fucking culture. I know that it's never going away, but the second I see a YouTube video of like, hey guys, so let's talk about the new update. Also, we're talking about the new leak, I just go past it. I'm like, I'm done. The second I hear the word leak in the, a Rivals video, I just thumbs down and fucking move on. So I thought it was cool that the developers are, being proactive about it.
Anything else new on the chopping block? As far as the links that you sent.
Um, I'm trying to go through my stuff. I mean, I can tell you things that I'm excited for, real quick. Been putting some hours into my PlayStation Pro, and a lot of the games are keep getting the updates for PSSR. And I can see the visually difference. It's getting better over time. And we'll see how it plays out in the next 6 months, from games that already have it in it and they're just improving upon it. It's nice to see like a really clear 1440 or 4K image run at 60 frames per second on my console. So that's pretty cool. And then I guess the game that I'm excited for to play next is Split Fiction. The same people that did It Takes Two. So me and the wife are gonna hop on that when it comes out, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to right now. Yeah.
For us layman's people, what's PSR again?
PlayStation Spectra Sensory. I don't know.
It's the
The AI.
technology and this, yeah, the AI like CPU
it's an
technology
AI
for the PS5 Pro.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm already talking about that, Joel. I feel like I asked that question before too. To be fair, you didn't answer my question. I was like, hey, what does PSSR stand for? Gives me the acronym. Cool. Then cue the Homer brain, just a monkey just clapping in its head, like, yeah. so yeah. Thanks for explaining that for us layman's people. I should start to know these terms. It's like technically am a PC gamer now, but a bridge to be crossed.
No worries. Again, was there was there anything that you said that we should go over? Because I know we talked about BioWare, but we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we didn't talk about it entirely on the show.
Oh, an article came out. Church, I don't know if you saw it. Apparently, there was a lot of what's the overworked term for gaming industry?
Crunch.
What?
Crunch.
Crunch. That was it. Okay. Apparently, BioWare had a lot of crunch stuff going on. So one of the developers that was let go, following their layoffs, was like saying, "Oh yeah, a lot of us in this department were like just really stopped caring and kind of wanted to make the game bad on purpose." And I won't go too much into it because I know we've all talked about Veilguard and it's what our thoughts on the reviews and scripting, everything like that. But Joel and I were just saying like, damn, we kind of hope that's true. We're just joking of like, oh, you made the game bad on purpose. Like, damn, we kind of hope that's true because if not, and you thought you were making a good game, we're like, fuck, it's kind of worse. But it was, yeah, it was like, yeah, like I said, it was just a thing. One of the developers were saying like, a lot of people are taking it as like that person and like three of their buddies were just like, treating every day like a half-ass Monday, not a quote unquote making it worse. But that was just an interview that took place with, I forget what journalist or company after those layoffs. We're like, yeah, we were crunched, so we're just kind of making things bad on purpose sometimes.
I think what I gathered from that article was more so people that were veterans of the studio were like, well, they're gonna see that this doesn't work, but whatever, you know what I mean? So once once the result happened for the changes that they thought would be beneficial to the series or whatnot, it didn't seem like it was that it worked to its that it worked. Now you have folks that are supposedly are all hands on deck working on Mass Effect or the next big Bioware RPG, to kind of bring back some of those old vets from the prior games that would make Bioware. So I'm curious to see if that's if that's going to be the case as far as it further develops. But I think I just missed too. You mentioned this a little bit, Church, as far as how the storyline for, say, like for Avowed, for example. I know it's Obsidian. Like it's not necessarily the forefront, but the gameplay is good. I kind of miss RPGs where the gameplay was good and the story was good. Like Mass Effect, fucking great story. Like obviously the first one, from a gameplay perspective, it's probably the worst one, but the story is great, and then two and three's gameplay is like stellar, and the story I thought was really good. Three obviously debatable for some folks, but I miss when RPGs had good story and good gameplay, and people knew how to end fucking games. Like, have you guys noticed that too? Like, a lot of endings to games are just bad.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Baldur's Gate 3. Whoa, guys. Whoa. Good gameplay and story. This cannot be the industry norm. Get over it.
So yeah, I mean, I miss those. I feel like games are too long just because I'm getting older. I want like
Yeah.
shorter, more concise experiences. Like get you can deliver your message in like 40 hours, guys. Come on, what are we doing?
Right. Right.
Ori in the Blind Forest. Amazing example.
Yeah, amazing. So when you say RPGs, are you talking about Western RPGs, Jarrell?
Yeah, I guess I am talking about Western RPGs. Yeah.
So, okay, I like to get into that. I just want to comment on the article. That shit made me fucking hell mad, bro. Like they're like, yo, we intentionally made this game bad. Like, well, fuck you. So you guys are just gonna take my money out of my pocket? But like, what are we talking about, guys? Like,
Right.
why are people praising people for sabotaging something that consumers were going to buy? Like, what are we doing here?
It's almost like that's almost like on grounds to sue if that was the actual like corporate like intention. Like that's kind of ridiculous.
Right. And they've been doing it since what? The article is about Dragon Age Inquisition. Did people not like that game? I thought that got pretty good reviews.
It's. I think it was. I mean, it's funny. It did get really good reviews. I know it's kind of like I think a lot of people were kind of met in the middle, but I know from a review standpoint, I think it did really well. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
it started with the Inquisition because Inquisition was like the last good game they released. Like there's interviews where people that were working on Anthem didn't know. Like I don't mean like marketing, I mean like developers didn't know what Anthem was going to be until they saw that 30-second CGI reveal at E3, where it was the big robot walking through the town, which we now know is a cutscene, and they were like, "Oh fuck, that's the game we're making? Oh shit!" And that's why Anthem was not really well received at launch.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, I had a different reaction to that article. Like I understand, like, yo, people want the old BioWare back because they've given us greatness over the years. I mean, I still want my remake of Jade Empire, but whatever.
Same. Same. Such a good game.
I know. Like,
Such
why
a
do
good
we stop?
game. Right.
But just fuck me. I look at it and that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, this, you know what? This is why people play games of service. Because when I buy a skin in Rivals, I know exactly what I'm getting at. The guys know what we want, and we
Getting
jokes
them
aside.
cakes.
Um, in terms of like good RPGs, I do when was the last good RPG that was a good story and great combat? When do you guys think that was?
That wasn't Baldur's Gate 3. It's been some time. And I will say, Church, too, a notion that you talked on or that you hinted on, I've brought up too, of the current state of Western RPGs and Eastern RPGs. I've kind of Jarl knows I was kind of mentioning that too. But yeah, in terms of a good Western RPG,
Yeah, specifically Western. I mean,
been a hot
I don't
minute.
know. It's been a minute because like Outer Worlds, like I mean the game's fun, but like the story like is whatever to me. Like there's fun things in it, but it's like the gameplay is the solid thing. So it's very weird. And then like I feel this is where I feel like I'm trying not to go on a rant, but Bethesda, like when it comes to Starfield, like that could have been the great opportunity for them to like reinvent themselves because they were working on a whole new engine from like the Fallout 3 engine, which was like so fucking disgusting. So like this could have been the opportunity where they could have just did a really dope job with the story and make it more engaging versus like these empty planets that we're fucking going to. And I mean, they failed in that regard. It's not a terrible game, but like as far as like coming back to it and whatnot, replay value. I mean, obviously like those numbers went down as far as player base, but yeah, it's a little concerning, because I can name a couple on the east, when it comes to like the eastern, side of things when it comes to RPGs. But yeah, a little hard, So, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, what are your thoughts as we kind of close out the show?
The last good Western RPG.
Mm,
Um, I thought initially Fallout 4.
that was
But
good. That was good.
I think that's the last one that I've played that was good. I can't think of another one.
I got
Um,
one. I got one.
uh,
Red
th-
Red Dead 2.
Red,
Ah,
okay.
but
Okay.
it's solid.
I never played it, but it popped in my head.
Yeah, I think so. I think that qualifies as an RPG completely.
Mm,
Uh, I think that's the cream of the crop of the game industry in general. But I think, yeah, Red Dead 2
yeah,
is right up there. It looks amazing. Um,
voice acting is like just like top tier, like just amazing. Yeah, great story.
yeah, I think they need to innovate on that style, and I think that's what Avowed does with the combat, where it's a lot more refreshing in first person. If I could take Avowed's combat for melee and magic, and then like Cyberpunk's cinematography for conversations, or like I'm in a car talking to somebody, like I meet somebody at a bar, and then I end up in a completely different location while they give them this exposition dump, right? Things are happening around me. I think that's what Bethesda needs to be, because God help me, Jarrell, if Elder Scrolls 6 has this, where the guy is just standing and talking, you know,
Oh man.
it's it's not what we want from Bethesda. It's not, we're looking for them to innovate. The standing and talking and giving me choices and options is so common now in the game industry from what it was 15 years ago that it's in every Ubisoft game. For Assassin's
Right.
Creed, it is
Right.
not unique anymore, and you can't give me what you've given me in the past. I'm looking for you to innovate it. At this
Yeah.
point, somebody else is clearly going to innovate it already. So that's my
Yeah.
closing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Cyberpunk 2077. I actually like that story. It's not great, but I thought it was pretty good as far as the story RPG. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, is that considered Western? Because they're made that's like
Yeah.
fucking
You,
Polish.
the US and Europe is included when it comes to the quote unquote West.
Oh,
Because
okay.
when we say East, it's like Japan, Korea, China,
Right.
aka areas of the world that remind you models can be in games. It's one of the many ways to describe the dynamic between the two. Though clearly, with Pan Am and many people, Cyberpunk is a beautiful exception to that.
Yeah, I think even the influences of Cyberpunk stems back to Western RPGs. It's clearly inspired by like Bethesda, right? Uh,
Definitely. 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 All right,
Church
Phil.
asking,
Oh,
church, I
go
was
ahead.
like, to continue off that, Joe. I was like, to continue off that, I was like, church asking for a lot. Todd Howard didn't innovate. Best of luck to you, but you won't see a burrito bet for me on that one. I've been screaming at the moon for years. Like this, when the second Xbox bought Bethesda, I'm like, you got to get Todd Howard in lock. He will lie to you 16 times the detail. He can't do math.
right.
Sorry,
Great.
I just sorry. When I hear like Bethesda, hope Bethesda do blank, the odds are not zero, but they are low.
Right. And like the way we got to set our expectations, all they're gonna look at is Skyrim and say, how can we improve in Skyrim? And they're
Right.
not going to take the cues from other games around them. They're just going to like slowly improve what exists. Like it technically is better than Skyrim. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's better than the competition, and that's what I'm feeling. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
I'm curious what happens once, because Todd Howard, he's on the verge of retiring, so I'm curious who they put in his shoes for the next Bethesda game. But a topic for another day. Yeah, for the Gamers Night podcast, we'll wrap it up here. But appreciate you guys listening and watching here, and of course, good to have you back here, Church.
Yeah, man, it feels good to be back. It's been gone for the year, but let's keep the new episodes coming. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, folks. Have a good one. Again, Gamers Friday podcast each and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, discussing all things games. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrell, and with me is Arthur and Church.
Is that me?
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks.